Hey everyone, it's Average Gatsby, and welcome to another issue of Engineering the Asylum on Horizon Part 4. So right here, I think that this room that I've come to hide in is really the best spot to take this part of the level. As you can see, I'm using the Avalanche pretty heavily, and it takes out the husks and takes out the shields of, or the barriers of some reflectors, and then, I'm just basically going to be back and forth in in this area. The reason why I picked this area, for one, is that the enemy collectors, the guardians and the assassin, won't really try to flank you. The only person that goes for a flank is Harbinger, just because Harbinger has that very aggressive AI, even though he walks very slowly. So he's the only one you have to worry about as far as coming up on your sides. The rest of these units won't come and attack you. As you can see, I just froze the assassin and then just moved in for the melee. So right here I'm basically messing with the Scion. I've got my combat drone attacking Harbinger, so I'm not really too concerned, and my allies are really occupying a lot of his time. But this room that I'm going back into, I like it because you'll notice that the Scion will repeatedly take shots at me and it'll have no effect on anyone in this building. He does hit me once when I'm in here, which is the only time I've ever taken damage hiding in this room. And notice how far away that combat drone was using its stun effect on the Scion. This Scion fight isn't really too difficult as long as you hide in this room, especially if you just kind of have your allies running around. With the Engineer, you can give that Scion 4 targets, one of them being you, and it's impossible for you to be hit. I think the reason why the Scion can't hit you when you're in that building, as soon as I say that, I get hit, but oh well. I think the main reason why the Scion 90% of the time won't be able to hit you is because there's a gap underneath the floor, I guess. It's on an elevated area, and usually the shots will pass like harmlessly down in that gap and not necessarily come back up. But I'm not exactly sure why that works. I guess some other strategies for that section besides taking that position is waiting. If for some reason you're not using the Avalanche, I would definitely wait for the husks to rush in and then use your Incinerate to take them out, take down their armor, and then use your cryo to insta-kill them, or a concussive shot or something of that nature. They're not really too difficult. There's only 3 of them. And as long as you're not standing in front of an open window, you're not going to get shot by anyone. Now, most of the time your allies will sort of be taking the damage from Harbinger. He's not necessarily going to go for you right away if he has nothing to target. So for this next section, a lot of people recommended that I go to the left side on the platform to hide, where you see that husk appear. I don't really like that spot too much, and I'll tell you why. Even though you can dodge a lot of the Scion's shots, I found, maybe I just wasn't doing it right, but I found every time I went to that spot, it was just too easy for the Scions to get around me and get up in close range and kill me before I had an opportunity to really do damage to them. And so I ended up hurting myself most of the time. So I think it's, in my mind, it's better just to hide behind this tall cover right here and then wait for the husk rushes and just try to stay out of line of sight from the Scions. You gotta remember that a Scion will not shoot at you unless it has line of sight. And line of sight can mean if you're locked into cover, but line of sight does not mean if you're standing behind cover, like how you see I'm dropping back and forth right here between cover spots. Every time I do that, the Scions lose line of sight, and therefore they lose their target on me. And the Scion needs a second or two to target you before it can actually fire its shot and do any damage. Another thing that I like to do right here, besides darting in and out of tall cover and not locking myself in, because locking yourself in will give them line of sight on you, is I try to use my drone to make sure that one Scion stays standing in front of the other. This is because when enemies are standing in a row like that, they're not going to fire through their ally. It might occasionally look like it's happening, but if they're standing directly one in front of the other, you're not going to be targeted. So, as you can see, the drone is just absolutely fantastic at confusing the Scion and making him totally worthless in a fight against me, and then I just follow the drone and finish off the other Scion here. I go pick up the heavy weapon ammo right now, but I don't necessarily recommend that as a strategy. You might want to wait until the end of the fight to pick it up. But anyway, I'm Average Gatsby. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment, subscribe. I will be posting the final section of Horizon later on tonight. Have a good day.